Hello everyone and welcome to another devlog video. Last time we made the character panel of the in-game menu look a lot prettier. In this week's devlog, we're going to be working on revamping the inventory GUI and also take a look at crafting. I also had some time at the end to throw in the beginning of an extra little gameplay feature, so stay tuned to see that at the end of the video. So the plan for this week was to figure out drag and drop functionality for the inventory. I spent a lot of time figuring out how I wanted the layout of this inventory to end up being, and I think in the end it'll still need to be changed. I learned a ton during this whole process though. I don't like working with GUI, so I'm happy that I'm able to get most of the tough stuff out of the way now. To be honest, this proved to be a little more than I can chew. It took me a long time to actually watch the tutorials necessary to learn how Unity's drag and drop events work, and then even longer to figure out how to organize my code into an architecture that made sense. My code tends to be super messy. I have a ton of scripts all over the place, and I do try to keep them organized, but sometimes it feels like I'm playing programming Jenga. So it was nice to be able to go off on a retreat over New Year's. It was a great time to rest, reset my bearings, and increase my spiritual life, and now I feel ready to go back to work, which sometimes can feel very tedious, but I'm pretty excited overall. So here's what I ended up with after learning all about drag and drop. You see I can click on this grid square here and move it around this panel. Now I won't want to drag grid squares, but item icons. So I'll be using those icons that I made in the last video. So I've been having quite a lot of trouble figuring out how to actually implement this inventory system. I've tried a lot of different things. I finally got the drag and drop working, which I'm really happy with, but I'm still not sure how I'm going to actually make the list generate for all the items for the grid. And I don't know if I want to make those grids prefabs or just how I want to generate them in the code. So that'll be interesting. That's generally my next struggle. I really hope that I'll get to do the crafting as well in this video, but we'll see how that ends up going. The next step was to figure out exactly how I would implement the crafting system. I decided that the best approach would be to code a similar crafting recipe database system as I did for all the items in the game. For programmers, essentially it's just a singleton with a hash table. Maybe it's a little extra, but it works. This is the kind of stuff I like, a little more than GUI coding, just working on all the behind the scenes mechanics. Once the in-game menu is done, I'll be able to implement the rest of the gameplay mechanics, or maybe I'll just do those sooner to change things up a little. I also created new items for the recipe that I wanted to put in the game for the iron sword. The recipe requires a wooden handle, a piece of leather, and a sword blade. I then put a bunch of item spawners on the ground. These connect to the item database. I also fixed a bug I've had for a while where the camera's raycast would actually collide with the player if the player looked down. So if the items were on the ground, the raycast would just hit the player and get super buggy. I fixed this using a layer mask, the existence of which I learned about the day I wrote this paragraph, so the more you know. Oh, by the way, if you're enjoying this video, throw a like down and maybe subscribe. Every bit helps. Anyway, it's really cool to see more and more features showing up bit by bit. The items still all look like cubes, but still one could imagine how this might look like once the meshes are in the game. Perhaps I'll even make these rigid bodies. I mean, who doesn't want to be able to kick an iron sword across the map like a football? Alright, so I'm here in game now, and you see I can go to my inventory here, and the slots are all nice and organized. I can go over here and pick up the specific bag, which just has the icon of leather, unfortunately, but hey, it works. So I can drag it, move it around, put it in my left hand. You see down there the debug screen changes when I put it in my left hand, and now I can put it in my bag slot. The slots appear very nicely. I can go over here to the iron sword blade, and now you see it appears in my right hand as well. I can also go ahead and put that in my backpack. I just press R to put that, and if I move the backpack, it'll actually remember what slot it's in, so that was pretty interesting to implement. I can also go ahead and pick up the leather, which has the same icon as the backpack, which is just leather. I just put it in my hotbar, so the hotbar icons aren't implemented yet. So it looks like it's still actually in my right hand slot, but in fact it is right now in the hotbar, it just hasn't updated. But you see here, if I pick up the oak grip just replaces it because it knows that there's nothing in the right hand, so it just makes the icon show up there. So the items right now are all in 3 different locations, right? I have one item in my right hand, one in the backpack, and one in the hotbar. So if I go here to the crafting menu, you see I need one iron sword blade, one small oak handle, and one leather to craft it. And if I click this button, the item should show up there in the icon slot. So unfortunately, there are a few bugs with this still. It's not completely implemented, but essentially the interesting part here is that it'll actually check the entire inventory. It'll check the backpack, the hotbar, and your right and left hand to see if you have the items, and then it will get rid of, well, it won't actually get rid of the items yet, but later on, once I completely finish all of this, it will actually get rid of the items. And if I try to move the sword, it'll just kind of glitch out, and you know, if I can just keep on making swords, they just disappear. Yeah, this isn't quite complete yet, but yeah, the gist of it works, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. These other tabs still don't do anything, but you can go to the inventory and you see that the items are still there, they haven't disappeared. My character sheet works, so yeah. I had a lot of bugs with Shotcut at the beginning of the week, which is why the last video's frame rate was so bad and why the time lapses weren't really time lapses, but the issues seem to have fixed themselves, so I was able to complete this devlog for you guys after all. So I hope you enjoy it. These videos take a while to make, but they're becoming a bit more fun to work on. So as promised, I'm going to show you guys that last little gameplay feature that I was able to implement at this time. So I'm just going to create a new character here. He's going to be Marsip, and I'm going to give him a bunch of agility. I'm going to give him as much agility as I can give him. He's going to have 16. I'm going to start him off as a rogue and pick Insight, Stealth, and Lockpicking. We've seen Insight and Stealth in the game, and now you can see that Lockpicking is 31. So you see my character sheet here, I have agility at 16, that's the highest you can get at level 1 for now. I'm just going to avoid these items, and I'm going to go over here, past the cave, into this essentially secret passage of sorts, this little side area that you can kind of travel to, and there is a little cube here, and this is a chest. It says it's locked, and it says lockpicking, 31 out of 25, so 31 is my level, and 25 is the minimum level I need to pick this lock. So I can try it, and you see I am not succeeding at first. I can keep on trying, and now it doesn't say locked anymore. So that is essentially the lockpicking feature in action so far. It's not much just yet, but you know, this is just kind of a last minute thing that I threw in at the end of the week just to get another skill in there. I do want all the skills in the game by the end. So thanks so much for watching this devlog video, and I hope you guys stick around for the next episode. Hopefully we can get some more gameplay features in then. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe and share. See you next time.